But again, people who have to live check by check, people who have high rent, inflation is kicking everybody behind.
Eggs are high.
Okay? It's called eggflation.
Eggflation, you can't get no eggs these days.
Shoot.
What's good, y'all? It's the Demouchet REACT, and we're back with another video. Who we got today, C?
Today we're back with another American reaction. Super excited about this video. If you're new to us
and we're new to you,
make sure you scroll down,
hit that subscribe button,
and turn on the post notification bell
because we're on the road to 200K.
And we cannot get there without you guys, alright? Join the family. Without further ado, let's get into the video.
Let's get it.
Famous episode of the Jimberly Kimberly live show where clueless residents of Los Angeles fail to name a single country.
Is it South Africa?
Yeah, the country of Asia.
Greenland or Iceland or something?
Although these are no doubt cherry-picked, and I'm sure if you stood in a big city all day and shoved a camera in people's faces and asked them questions, you'd be able to find 3 minutes worth of people who couldn't answer on the spot.
Miss, for $1, name a woman.
Name a woman?
Yeah.
But the stereotype that Americans are ignorant about the wider world is largely true. These people can't name a country because they don't care about other countries. 40% of Americans have a passport, compared to 66% of Canadians and 76% of Brits. In 1994, it was only 10% of Americans. But that doesn't mean Americans have gotten more globe-trotting since then. It was because after an above-average episode of the news, it became mandatory to need a passport when entering Canada and Mexico. So it's fair to say that a very small percent of Americans will be leaving this corner of the world. As I said in a previous video, America has all you'd ever want geographically within her borders. Why go anywhere else? The foreign cultures, maybe? Americans don't care about that either. On the list of the highest grossing movies in the USA, you have to go all the way to 520th place to get a movie that isn't American. It's Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, by the way. Couldn't even beat The Nutty Professor. Somebody please check up on Ang Lee. I think he might have killed himself. Neither do Global Affairs hold the average American.
Because The Nutty Professor is a childhood classic.
It is, man. Everybody know about the Nutty Professor. That's not one you need to go dig up. It's an easy find, easy fix.
So let's talk about these passports. First of all, the government has even made it so easy. And if a lot more people knew that it doesn't really cost that much to go to certain places, you know, they'll be able to do it. But again, people who have to live check by check, people who have high rent, inflation is kicking everybody behind.
Eggs are high.
Okay? It's called eggflation.
Eggflation, you can't get no eggs these days.
Shoot. So people not really worried about leaving if they don't have that luxury of saving a few dollars to the side. You know?
Yeah, 100%. 100% I agree with you on that. I just also feel like that, you know, as an American, I feel like they locked us in just about with information and education purposes because we don't, like you said, for one, we have to work to live. We don't really have the luxury to care about any other location because we're still trying to get our own situation
trying to make
together.
sure I pay rent.
And when it comes to just wanting to just be adventurous, we're gonna go like he stated, like he put on the video. We have all these other locations inside the states. You know what I'm saying? State to state to state. That is like very different from where we're from. So that alone is a blessing to just step out your own backyard to go see that. But then again, it's like, you know, I think it comes with time to learn about other locations, but overall, not too many people are just sitting there. I mean, now with TikTok and Instagram and the media age, everybody gets to see the world and now have a curiosity for it, but at some point it wasn't a big thing.
Right, not at all, not at all. But you know, people learn, people grow, you know. And right now, there's a whole backlog of passports. We in that number. We wait. It's taking forever.
Interest. When asked about the Kyoto Climate Accords, who the Taliban are, or who Nicolas Sarkozy is, Americans are woefully underinformed compared to other developed nations. In 2009, only half knew that last year's Olympics were held in Beijing. Oh, but of course, when asked to name American celebrities, they had no trouble at all. At the same time, we non-Americans are flooded with American culture. Some British people know more about American politics and history than their own.
Once you're dropped into the trench, depth, or the z-axis is...
It's Z-axis, you floppy-haired moron. France had to pass laws banning radio stations from playing too much American music.
Wow. Wow.
There are only 2 countries in the world where Coca-Cola is not sold. Wait, scratch that. This journalist from Finland bought a Coke at a water park in Pyongyang in 2017. And what's this hiding in the background of somebody's holiday snaps at the National Hotel de Cuba? Look, you know something's up when remote tribesmen in the Amazon rainforest who don't even have electricity know who Michael Jackson is. Americans used to be quite well read. After the Second World War, Americans consumed 63% of all the newspapers in the world, and they used this to their advantage. In 1948, the newly formed United Nations created a list of human rights that all countries should strive to uphold. One area that Americans were particularly interested in was this one, Article 19. Everyone has the right to freedom of expression and opinion, and receive and impart information and ideas through any media and regardless of frontiers. What the USA wanted was a completely level playing field. Anyone can buy any media from any other country. A global free market of ideas, released from the shackles of censorship. For if anyone can gain access to the truth, we cannot be marched into the same kind of ignorance and intolerance that characterized the Axis nations of the war. This is admirable. Freedom of speech is a core value of the United States and many other allied nations. But some delegates, like those from India, questioned the US's motives. If you believe in an equal access to information and culture, shouldn't you redistribute some of your media creating capacity to developing nations like ours, so that we have an equal opportunity to tell the world our stories? The Americans would not budge. Of course, they knew deep down that India was right. The American delegation to the convention was highly populated by journalists and media magnates. They knew that if countries couldn't afford their own news, they would be increasingly reliant on buying news from American wire companies like the Associated Press, which was good for both the media companies' profits, but also the US State Department, who would no doubt have been licking their lips at the prospect of 1 billion people reading news with a specific American spin on it.
Right.
In 1944, the Associated Press sold news to 38 countries. Within 8 years, that had doubled to 70 countries.
How was y'all getting y'all newspaper back in the day? For us, I think we still get it like that, but you randomly see it, and there's that one person who throws that newspaper in your front yard. Mm-hmm. So you wake up one morning, you see the newspaper all in your carport.
Yeah, or at the store.
You can get it at the store. I know that's still the option. But I just like to see how everybody else get their newspapers. You know what I'm saying? It's like, is it stuffed in your mailbox or at your doorstep, or you have to go pick it up yourself?
Yeah, now it's a lot of things are being digitalized. Like they are stopping. Like there was this big successful magazine that I used to open all the time every week. No, not every week, every month. And now they no longer have printed magazines. It's all online. Right.
I will tell y'all the app that I use, but it's not a paid video. So yeah, I have a news feed that I do my thing on. So other than that, back in the day, we used to get that thing tossed in the in the driveway.
1950s, around half of films shown in European and Asian cinemas were American, 2/3 in Mexico, Brazil, and Argentina. Which makes sense. Americans made grand technicolor films brimming with Hollywood sparkle because they could afford to. Whereas war-torn Europe, impoverished Mexico, and nuclear-obliterated Japan were stuck making small-scale comedies to keep up morale. One of the most popular French movies in 40s France was 1949's The Big Day, a mostly plotless movie where a whimsical French postman gets into wacky mischief in a quaint village. There just wasn't the money or resources for anything else. Hollywood captured the European public's imagination.
That was one of the most biggest TV shows back in the day when they was just hurting themselves. Like the stunt doubles back in the day was probably the most hardest people ever, because these dudes was literally hurting themselves every day on TV.
Right. What was the show with the 3 people? Is it the 3 Stooges?
Oh, the guys, man, with the little...
The 3 Stooges?
They always had these little suspenders on. And,
Yeah.
I know you're talking
I
about.
think the Three Stooges. Let us know if y'all watched that before.
And they wanted more. But why is it only a one-way street? Because while you can do or say whatever you want within the United States, the Constitution also says that the American government can regulate what goes in or out. During the Cold War, anything that might be considered communist propaganda could be seized by the post office and never delivered. Books or even souvenirs from communist countries, for example. Pamphlets criticizing US foreign policy. Immigration reached a low point in the early 70s, with only 4.7% of Americans being foreign-born, limiting Americans' interaction with different cultures. Obviously, it wasn't totally like North Korea. Plenty of foreign movies and music were allowed into the US. But the media that caught on was either already Americanized or so plastically exotic that it doesn't really say anything about the culture where it's from. The Beatles were British, yes, but they got their start covering American rock and roll musicians. When John Lennon stepped out of line, the American government made sure that he knew it. Movies imported from Japan were mostly samurai flicks, and very few movies set in the modern day. The film Ikiru is widely considered the best Japanese film ever made, if you ignore people who have never felt the touch of a woman. But this existential drama about a depressed, lonely man was only given a limited release in California, and the poster was edited to feature a stripper who is only in the movie for like 1 minute. The narrow stream of European movies that made it into the USA came in the form of the French New Wave cinema. Movies that were stylistically inspired by American films, but also so stuffy that few audiences would ever want to watch them anyway.
Qu'est-ce que ça peut te faire?
Ça ne va pas, non?
Non, rien. Je voulais dire cette phrase avec une idée précise. Je ne savais pas quelle était la meilleure façon d'exprimer cette idée. Ou plutôt, je le savais. Mais maintenant, je ne sais plus.
This was further stifled by the Hays Code, a set of extremely strict regulations that were in place from 1934 to 1968. If you've ever wondered why old black and white films seem so dry, it's because of these rules.
Man,
Some things
them
that were
black and white
completely
films,
banned from...
I personally flipped through that. I couldn't get with it. I
They
would
used
wake,
to show it
bro.
in school.
Yeah, I just couldn't, y'all. I didn't know what it was about. It's like every time I see them, they'll be staring at each other.
Or the ones that wasn't
Bro,
talking.
they would talk. They would just sit like it was always a girl and a guy, and they always looking at each other, staring at each other, and they talking, and their lips be touching, and their nose is touching. They just having a conversation. I'd be like, "What is this?" I never understood it.
Yeah, they needed to get with the times, so.
I was born beyond my time. I guess how you could say it. I don't know.
ever being shown in any film included bad guys winning. All movies had to end with the police outwitting the evil criminals or the criminals causing their own demise. Any nudity, even the silhouette of a booba, is an instant ban.
Oh, well.
Blood or dead bodies.
Baby, today everything is shown.
What happened to the time? Why it changed?
Everything.
Because man, we got like some
Even the kid-rated movies.
cartoon
You
characters.
you have to watch it before you allow your child to watch it now.
Man, I'm saying everything got a shape.
Everybody
Everything.
have to have a voice now.
Yeah, everything talks.
Yeah.
When people get shot in old films, they usually just clutch the wound, but no actual blood is seen. Pointing a gun at somebody in the same
That's what I've
frame.
seen.
This
About
is
to
why
touch
guns
noses.
are always held at waist height.
Nobody not see that.
Kissing for longer than 3 seconds. Interracial couples. White people as slaves. Criticism
Yeah,
of religion
I didn't
or
see
of
that.
any other country.
Never seen-
Naturally, this prevented the more artistically liberal European films from being shown in American cinemas, and when they did get a US release, they were usually edited to remove the violence in movies and sex on TV to comply with the good
Yeah, it's a good
old-fashioned
scene. Want to keep
values.
that. Want to keep it.
At least until the rules were abolished in 1968 and replaced by the age rating system we have today.
PG.
Even as the Cold War ended and the internet gave Americans unparalleled access to the rest of the world and all of human knowledge, they still
Let's give it up
preferred
to
to
the
hang
internet.
out on a handful of American-made websites dominated by Americans. The insular culture of 20th century America has carried over to the 21st. Tightened border security after Septiembre Undécimo means foreign musicians can have a hard time getting visas. In 2002, the touring visa of a German orchestra was cancelled after it was discovered the cellist had a criminal record for shoplifting a pair of tweezers in 1991. When they tried again for a visa in 2004, the cellist had to undergo an hour-long interview with Homeland Security and had to physically pick up his visa from the US Embassy. Global cultures might be more present in American media, but they're always through the lens of American characters, such as The Last Samurai starring Tom Cruise, where he plays a white guy.
How y'all feel about that?
Something.
How y'all feel about that? Whenever you guys would see the film and it was culture based, pertaining to your neck of the woods, it was never the original people. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like you wouldn't be able to see the real aesthetics of that culture. You would just see the actor of that culture. You know what I'm saying?
I think the Cleopatra film had some controversy recently, but I'm thinking, I believe now that this has changed though.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Because now, like, some of the movies that we have about our historical events are not only played by African Americans. It's played by UK-born people. It's played by African-born people. So I feel like that has changed now.
100%. Yeah, I know back in the day it didn't.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was that's what it was. But now it's like you said, the internet has really took space and made everything what it is. So
yeah, but thankful for people like Tyler Perry.
come on, man.
You know, creating space and things.
In 1870s Japan. 7 years in Tibet, another American in China. Indiana Jones, American in Egypt. The Bourne Identity, American in France. Inglourious Bastards, Americans in German-occupied France. And for the ladies in the audience, Mamma Mia. For a movie set on a Greek island, there's not a single Greek person in the entire movie.
See?
Is there any hope for America?
That's
What's his question?
Or are they dead?
Yes, there's hope. Because
There is,
what's the new I'm gonna mess up on it. Charlotte. What is it? What? Y'all ain't gonna get me. What's this thing called?
Trying to help you out here. I'm just doing some little hands.
Do the Apollo thing. The Apollo thing.
Oh no,
with
the
the
only one I
sleeping
know.
maid.
Yeah, it's the only one I know. I don't want to boo you off the
just-
stage.
Oh no, don't boo me. Hold on, wait. What is it called? Bridgerton.
Okay.
Bridgerton with
Bridgerton.
the Queen Charlotte. That's a UK-born woman.
It is.
You know,
Right.
playing the lead. So things
Yeah.
have changed. Look at us.
There you go.
And Shonda Rhimes is from America.
Mm.
Look at us. We changing things.
Destined to be a stinky, dumb redneck country forever? Maybe. In 2000, 92% of the music in the USA Top 50 was American, making it the second most insulated market in the world after Pakistan. But today, it's more like 60%, with Brits, Canadians, Latin Americans, and Africans making themselves more
diversity.
seen in the
We
charts.
just got on there.
Each year, there are more foreign films nominated at the Academy Awards than ever before. What used to be an American-only pay-to-win award show is now an international pay-to-win award show.
Look at that.
As social media platforms have an element of randomness in what they show users, there is a higher chance of Americans being shown videos from other countries,
I love
forcing them to take note of what is happening. It's
Y'all know we talk about the stuff we see on TikTok all the time. People try to make social media to be a bad thing, but if social media wasn't around, we wouldn't be able, like, we have an international audience.
Yeah, we truly do.
Listen.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say something, I can't say it. But listen.
But listen,
We love.
I can't tell you, but listen.
Yes, we love having an international
No,
audience.
100%. Yeah.
Y'all share stuff with us, we share stuff with y'all. Then y'all, a lot of times people will be like, man, I'm glad y'all put this video out here. This about my own country.
Yeah.
I didn't even know this.
Big facts.
Like,
nah, real talk.
we love that. Like, this is how you create change in the world.
Man, you guys have offered recommendations on food,
Yes.
books,
Yes.
movies, locations to visit. Like, it's just so universal. Like, you just gotta wrap your head around it and keep up with it.
Right,
For real.
right. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody could take that from us because I just love the community that we have built here.
seems the revolution will be TikToked. I've been giving the impression throughout this video that it's all or most Americans who are terminally uneducated. But American ignorance isn't as evenly distributed as you'd think. That study I mentioned earlier, when adjusting for English proficiency, income and education levels, Americans are really no different from their European counterparts, and in some cases, marginally smarter. Knowledge about the wider world even correlates to political views, and not in the way that you'd think. A 2022 survey asked Americans 12 questions about the world, such as who is the British Prime Minister, what does the Indian flag look like, and what this symbol represents. The people who answered the most questions correctly were committed Democrats and committed Republicans. Swing voters, those enlightened centrist chads, were the stupidest. Only 40% of moderate Republicans could name the US Secretary of State, compared to 60% of convicted Republicans. Only half of moderate Democrats knew that the USMCA trade agreement replaced NAFTA, compared to 66% of convicted Democrats. Also, I just thought it was funny that the more Americans know about the European Union, the more favourable view they have of it. So are Americans ignorant? Many of them are. But it isn't their fault. It's a mix of geography, American imperialism, Cold War paranoia, moral puritanism, and economic factors that create a paradoxical nation that is both the most expansive empire, but also an informational, moral puritanism, and economic factors that...
Is the only representation of my people in this entire video.
We are economic factors? Oh my.
Because the statistics on that is wrong. But we're going to keep going. I ain't going to do it today, fam. I ain't going to do it.
Yeah, I know it.
Create a paradoxical nation that is both the most expansive empire, but also an informational prison of their own making. God bless you, stupid bastards.
Oh, no, what? That's a, no.
Well, no, you didn't get on YouTube and say that.
Yeah, he loose. He
American-based YouTube.
Listen, this is, what I'm going to say, though. Let me just say, though, like, our American friends that we know, you know, I don't even call them American friends, so it sounds weird saying it, y'all. But I'm only saying it because I'm on this video, and this is how this video is being presented. But my friends, our friends, have very great sarcasm. I'm going to say that. Like, we have really good sarcasm. You may not catch the joke, but in our back right here, we know what we're talking about. But there's no level of ignorance on this end. I think we are really educated, and I think that's... I think everything that's, you know, everybody got a lot to learn still at the end of the day.
Right.
But, you know.
You're supposed to be a student of life, though.
100%. Yeah.
And, yeah, I can say a teacher of life, too. You know, teach people what they don't know. Don't look at a person that's ignorant. They just don't know. You know? Now, the people who don't want to know anything, like, just don't want to know, yeah, they ignorant.
I think, though, like, when you grow up here, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I feel like with information that they have out here for us, they force it down our throat to think just on this. And if you don't really have no self-awareness, this is what you're going to believe. And then that level can bring a level of ignorance to you because you don't think anywhere other than that box. You can stay in there, you know what I'm saying? But if you really want to branch out and learn a lot of stuff, that's available for you, you know?
Right. You know, just... people are going to continue learning. You can't, a person graduate, like, for example, I graduated high school at 17. I didn't know a lot about a lot, you know, keep going. I went to college, learned some more things. When I graduated, I didn't know the whole world, like every information that there is to learn about the world. You keep growing every single day.
Facts.
That's life. You're supposed to learn something new every single day. I don't know where I learned that at. Like when I was younger, I believe a teacher told me that, like in elementary school. And she was like, you're supposed to learn one new thing, at least one new thing every single day. And I've kept that motto, you know?
Yeah. It's just a school system for me, though. It's like once you get out of high school and you go to college and you start thinking about something, you're like, dang, they should have taught me this then. For me to be prepared for this. You know what I'm saying? Preparation was only about numbers and a little bit of history with a little bit of paragraphs and language barriers and stuff of that nature. But I feel like there's so much more deep-rooted stuff we need as people to progress in life.
Outside of where we are located, you know, I feel like they prepared us for American life, not prepared us for world life, you know? So we hope you guys enjoyed this video with us. Like this video, subscribe, turn on the post notification bell. We have enabled our super thanks if you like to support the channel that way, as well as our reaction request form is in our description box below. We'll see you soon. Peace.